What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another War Thunder video. Today we're taking a look at the 1.47 dev server. Yeah, this was just announced. I was actually in the middle of a nap when the Gaijin announced the dev server was up. So little did I know, just hours after they announced the B29 was coming out in 1.47, they actually put the dev server patch up. So I'm on here trying to get a quick look at some of the new planes and ground vehicles before they take it down. And they've been making a number of changes to planes that are already in the game. And one of them is the P-51. You'll notice in the modifications, if we slide all the way over to the right, we got all kinds of new bomb and rocket options to research. So those of you who have spaded your P-51s are going to have to do a little more grinding if you want these new options. Now here's a quick look at some of the options. Look at all this. 2,000 pounds worth of bombs you can strap onto this thing. Plus you get rockets. You just get some smaller bombs here, but I'm a little concerned though, as an American pilot, how many options do we really need to give P-51 pilots to go ground pound rather than use their fighter as an actual fighter? So my concern is the P-51 is going to become even more of a ground pounder rather than a fighter, because those new pilots are going to be more interested in getting easy kills on the ground rather than engaging other fighters. So we'll have to see how that goes. One of the other changes that I noticed, the F-81 gets a little bit more ammunition, or the F-80F1, excuse me, the Bearcat, and the F-82E, which is the twin Mustang, just got a gun pod option. Over here on the right, you can actually put on a gun pod, and you can see it here ×8. So here's the question: does it add 2 more guns or 8 more guns? That is frightening to think that it's going to be 8 more guns. I think it's just going to be 2 more guns, because that would be insane to have 14 the 50 cal machine guns on this thing. That'd be crazy. So I think it's just going to have 8 total, so it'll be 2 additional. There have been a number of changes for other bomb loads, and as well as gun pods. I think let's see, what is it? The Ju-87. Shit, wrong tech tree. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Ju-87 D5, I believe, has a gun pod. Yeah, you get more cannons or more machine guns. So we got all kinds of new stuff to upgrade or research on those planes that we previously thought were spaded. I mean, let's take a look at some of the new planes and tanks. We'll start off with the American tech tree. And first, the obvious one is the B29 Super Fortress. Everyone knows about it. I covered it on the channel earlier. Now, in realistic battles, it's going to have a battle rating of 6.7. Now, there's always the chance that this could change. This is, after all, the dev server, so nothing's final yet. Now, it says it's got 6 turrets, all kinds of Browning machine guns. Let's take a quick look at it in our hangar. And holy shit, this thing's huge. Wow. It's going to take a long time to research, too. That's a lot of RP. Let's take a look at the bomb loadout, because that was something I was curious. And here's the bomb loadouts. You get 18 1000s, 40 500s, 8 2000s, and 20 500 pounders. So it's a little bit different from the official manual that I found online. There's always a chance that Gaijin could change this. Again, this is a dev server patch. This is not final. Let's take a look at the armor. See, there's all kinds of armor plating. It's not very thick. The rear gunner's got a little bit of protection. All kinds of steel plates in here. But take a look at all these fuel tanks. I can already sense these images of B-29s on fire falling from the skies, because these things are going to be spammed in mass as soon as this thing goes on the live server, much like the B-17 was for a long time. One of the other questions that I have about this plane is what is the damage model going to be like? And for a long time, the B-17 was a very difficult plane to take down. People complained about it. Its damage model was nerfed to the point where it's basically a flying papier-mâché bomber. It takes almost no skill to take down a B-17 anymore. So will the B-29 be much like that, or is it going to be a more hardened plane to take down? We'll have to see. Next up is the A20G, G30, excuse me. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that there's no other A20G in the tech tree. I think all they did was either change it or rename it. Now, admittedly, it's been a long time since I've flown the A20. So much so, I don't even know if this even looks like the same plane. The tail section looks so much taller than I remember. It could very well be the same plane, they just renamed it. I have all the upgrades for it, so this is obviously the same plane as far as the version that they had in the game. But they may have changed it slightly. Still only have one option for bombs and one for rockets. Next up is the B-57B. Now we've had the B-57 in here for a couple of patches. Now they added the B model. Now the difference that I noticed, the only difference really, is they added machine guns. Now I expected cannons, quite frankly, because the Canberra and the British tech tree has cannons. It has the Mark V Hispanos. But the Americans are only getting 50 cals, which is not exactly a bad thing, because it is, after all, incredibly fast. And let's face it, 850 cals is going to be incredibly powerful. Now you notice there doesn't seem to be any landing gear, so this plane's just kind of hovering. Kind of strange, if you ask me. But anyway, now I'm not a big fan of jet bombers, to be honest with you. I'm not exactly excited about this plane, to be quite frank with you. With a battle rating 7.3, it's going to face a lot of really good jet fighters. Got one piece of protection in the front to protect the pilot, but other than that, there's no armor in this plane anywhere else that I can tell. On the underside, the only thing that glows yellow is the front glass. Taking a look at the inside, jet fuel tanks everywhere. If you get, man, I would hate to be in this plane. Get a couple of rounds in the fuselage. This thing's gonna go up like a Christmas tree. Got a couple of fuel tanks in the sides, or in the wings, excuse me. And you get all kinds of armaments or machine guns peeking through. Wow. 850 cals, that's going to wreck some planes. Now, as far as ground forces, we are getting a new premium, the M26E1, battle rating 6.3 in realistic. In simulator, it's 6.3. In arcade, it's 6.3. I just want to show those options, that way in case you guys are curious as to where it's going to be in the various different modes, you'll have some idea. I know it's there's often a difference in the modes. Let's take a quick look at this thing. Look at that great big long cannon. Holy cow! 90 millimeters, 41 rounds of ammunition. Take a quick look at the armor. 76 millimeters on top, 76 on the bottom. A little over 100 millimeters on the front. Not a bad little tank. 6.3 though. I don't think the armor is as thick as some of the others at this tier. I could be wrong. One of the things you'll notice in my tech tree is that I don't have very many tanks researched, because I'm just not a huge ground forces guy. I'm more interested in the airplanes. Excuse me. Most of the ammunition is stored in the very bottom of this particular tank. Got a couple here on the left, but most of the ammo racking could be in the bottom. If they aim low, get those ammo racks and blow up this tank. Very, very devastating effect. Let's see what else is on here. The M42. Let's see, where is it? Here we go. Battle rating 6.7. This is a self-propelled anti-aircraft gun. And one of the things that I noticed, there's ammo everywhere in this thing. It does have two 20mm cannons, or excuse me, two 40mm cannons with 400 rounds of ammunition. But if you look at the ammo racks, they're everywhere. Holy cow. Ammo racks are going to be a serious concern if anyone happens to use this thing. There's ammunition everywhere. Ammo racked in this thing. It's going to be quite easy, I would think. Let's take a look at the armor. 12mm of armor. It's not going to do a whole lot, I'm afraid. Yeah, you're going to want to keep your distance and hide behind rocks. And use as much cover as you can. This thing is going to be blown up in smithereens quite quickly because of all the ammo. Just store it everywhere. In large amounts too. Wow. The cannons do look nice, I have to admit. I would love to see something like that in some more ground forces. Now that wraps up the Americans. We'll switch over to the Germans. We'll start off with the airplanes first. Now, like I mentioned earlier, there are some planes with the Ju-87 which have some changes to the bomb loads. I'm not going to go over every one of them. I'll include a link to the patch notes in the video description below, so you can take a look at some of the planes and their changes. Gaijin did a nice job of listing what changes were instituted in this patch. And one of the bombers you'll notice, one of the new planes you'll notice, is a new bomber, the FockeWulf 200C1. Normally, when you think of FockeWulf, you think of you think of fighters, but they're actually a heavy bomber. A 2.7 battle rating in realistic. Let's see, in arcade it is 3.0. In sim it is 3.0. So realistic is the lowest battle rating. And one of the things that I noticed is this thing has a pretty good bomb load for a 2.7 battle rating. It's got 3,000 pounds worth of bombs, or 3,000 kilograms worth of bombs. I don't know of any other bomber that has 3,000 kilograms worth of bombs at 2.7. You have some light machine guns for turrets. 7.92, nothing too crazy. Take a quick look at it in the hangar. This thing is beautiful. There's not much for armor on this thing though. Got a couple of plates in the front. Take a look at all the fuel tanks. Oh my god. Holy cow, that's a lot of fuel tanks. I don't know about this one. I can already see these things burning up like Wellingtons. Let's see, what else do we have for Germany? Oh yeah, the Bf-109. The G14, excuse me. Now, taking a look at what the stat card says versus the G6, the G14 doesn't turn quite as well as the G6, but it does climb better. Take a look at the modifications quick. Now you can get the 20mm or the 30mm, and it does have gun pods, as well as a 250 kilogram bomb. But not very many people use a bomb on their fighters like this. As far as battle rating, let's see, a 5.7 in realistic. Switch over to arcade. 5.7 in sim is 5.3. So sim is the lowest battle rating. Take a quick look at this in the hangar. That is a beautiful plane. I love that camo. Seriously, that was sexy. This thing is going to get a lot of flight time in War Thunder. I can already see this thing being spammed. Doesn't have much for armor. Just a few pieces in the seat area and the frontal glass. Yeah, fuel tank. You're basically sitting on the fuel tank if you're a pilot in this thing. That's a little disconcerting. But I suppose that's similar to all the BF-109s. Now let's take a look at the Army. One of the most requested tanks in the game is the Mouse. This thing is a monster. If you think tank, this thing looks and feels like a tank. Just look at this monster thing. Does this not look like a tank? If you think of a tank, just look at the armor in this thing. 200 millimeters of thickness. Holy shit. 180 on the sides. 200 on the rear. 150 in the back. Holy cow. Got a little bit of weakness here. Take out the gun. But it's got 128 millimeter cannon for your main and 75 for your secondary. That's gonna do some fucking power for some devastation. It's gonna blow up some tanks. Then when you take a look at it, if you manage to pierce this armor, just look at all the ammunition. There's ammo racks everywhere. Top, bottom, left, right. Oh my god. There's ammo everywhere. That, of course, is if you can manage to penetrate that thing. Good luck. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh yeah, the Flakpanzer. The Gepard. The Gepard, whatever. 2.0 battle rating. Now, you do have some nice little armor here on the side, but let's face it, it's a very early Flakpanzer. It's not going to do a whole lot. It's not very well armored. 8 millimeters, you know, that's pathetic, I'm sorry. 10 millimeters on the front. Yeah, this thing isn't going to last very long, I'm afraid. Yeah, you'll have to hide behind cover as best you can. You don't want to get anywhere near the front lines in this thing. Fuel tanks everywhere. Ammo everywhere. Yeah. I can almost feel bad for this little guy. The Gepard might be pretty good in some people's hands. I'm not I don't want to sound like I'm totally poo-pooing it, but it's not really one that I'm particularly interested in. I just recently started playing with the Germans. I haven't gotten very far. I've only played a couple of games quite recently. I'm not into the ground forces as much as I am in the tanks. Next up is the Marder 3H. It's a 3.0. A 75mm gun. This thing looks awfully tall. That's the first thing that I noticed about it. It's very tall. You're going to have a difficult time staying protected. If you happen to come across any hills, you're going to be exposed because of the high profile. And the armor isn't all that thick, actually. 15 on the side, 15 in the front, 50 in the very front. Got fuel tanks everywhere. Got all the ammo just below the guys, along as well as on the side. Not really sure how I feel about this particular tank. Its height is the thing that concerns me the most about as someone who would be using this. Height's a little bit of a disadvantage. That's all for Germany. We'll take a look at Russia quick. We're gonna start with the aircraft. The IL-2 1941 version. Now I've looked at the two stat cards, this and the regular IL-2. I really haven't noticed much of a difference at all. Let me remove the rockets. The regular IL-2 is a little bit faster. Turns a little bit better. Rate of climb. Let's see. Rate of climb is just a little bit better in the regular IL-2. The 41 is I I wonder if it's like the prototype for the IL-2. I wonder if the IL-2 is going to get a new name at some point. It'll get a whole, you know, it'll get its own year distinction, just like the new 41 has a distinction of its own. I wonder if it's going to be like the 1942 version or whatever. Take a quick look at this. 2.7 battle rating, slightly below the 3.0 that the regular IL-2 has in realistic. As far as armor goes, this thing has armor all over the place. The IL-2 was very well armored, very heavy aircraft, as well it needed to be if it was going to be used as a ground attacker, so it needed some armor. Yeah, fuel tanks all over the place, right behind and in front of the gunner, or the pilot, excuse me. Next up is the LA5FN. Now, those of you who are thinking to themselves, "What the hell? This isn't new." You're right. They actually give it a new visual model. I don't know how much of a difference there is, but I have to say, just looking at it, it looks like it's had a little bit better paint job. It looks a little bit cleaner. I wish they would show, two different versions of the LA5FN. In the patch notes, one the old model as well as the new. The way I can show you guys here. But it's the same thing as far as flight characteristics. I don't think they've changed. Still has the same bomb load, but it does look nice. I've always been a big fan of the LA5s. Pardon the interruption, guys. This is actually from the 1.45 version of War Thunder, which is currently available. And this is how the LA5FN looks now. You can compare and contrast to the 1.47 version all you want. This with the winter camo, and this is the standard camo. So you can make whatever comparisons you want to look, or what you wish to make. This doesn't have the same camouflage option as the one in 1.47, so it doesn't look exactly the same. I hope this clears up the differences. Let's take a quick look at the Army. There are some new tanks. Let's see. Russia gets a T-28 SP, or T-26, excuse me. It's a premium tank for 550 Golden Eagles. Battle rating 2.7. Got a 45mm cannon, as well as a 7.62mm machine gun. It's very centered in the front. The top isn't very far in the back. I suppose that's to allow for the engine. Normally when I think of tanks, I think of them as being a little further offset than this. This is very front heavy, or very it's a lot closer to the front, if you know what I mean. Gun ports are all over the place. Very easy to kill, I would imagine. Radiator, fuel tank. All the ammo is on the left hand side and a little bit on the bottom. Let's take a look at the armor plating here. 45mm, 45, 45, 55. So it's all right, but the gun ports are obviously the weakest points. Let's see, what else do we have? The T-28E. Right here, 2.7. Russia's getting into the low tiers in this patch. Got a 76mm main gun, 69 rounds. This thing's kind of ugly. It's kind of ugly. Looks like it's an ammo box here on the left, or on the right. Another ammo box here. A lot of gun ports that I'm noticing. I'm just a tank noob, admittedly, but gun ports are everywhere. Obvious weaknesses. Armor's not very thick. 20 and 30mm. Not exactly impressive, but it is a tier 1 tank, so what are you going to do? A lot of crew members. Holy smokes. 6 crew members. ammo everywhere in here. I would imagine this would be pretty easy to ammo rack, and you'd be able to kill the whole crew with one well-placed round. Russia's got one more tank, the T-54 1949. It's all the way down here in the bottom. 8.0. I suppose this would be their version of the Mouse, or their equivalent as far as their battle rating. 8.0 has the same battle rating as the Mouse. I can't help but notice the big 100mm cannon, 34 rounds. Take a look at the armor, 120 mils, 125, 200, 200, 80 on the sides, 30 on the back, 45 on that part of the back. Not a whole lot of ammo in this thing, I'm noticing. Some of the ammos, or some of the tanks have a lot of ammunition. This one's only got 34 rounds. A big chunk of it's right here in the front right. Almost all the ammo is on the right hand side, actually. Yeah, nothing's on the left. Got a couple here in the back. Now that does it for the Russians. Unfortunately, the British didn't get anything new. No renames, no new visual models. Still no tanks. That'll be coming on another patch, I would assume. But the Japanese did get one new plane. The J2M4. It's a premium plane for 3,850 Golden Eagles. Now, the obvious comparison you want to make with it is the J2M3, its predecessor. The J2M3 had a lot more models made. According to what I understand, there were only two aircraft made of the J2M4, which is prototypes. So it makes sense that the prototype is made into a premium plane. Of course, the obvious question is it worth it? Honestly, I don't notice, just going by the stat card, I don't notice much of a difference between this and the J2M3. The stat card, everything is exactly the same. Got the same cannon, got the same speed, rate of climb, everything. There is one difference that I did happen to notice, and that's the ammo count. The J2M3 has 800 rounds, while J2M4 only has 680 rounds. Now let's take a look at the visual models here. Now I noticed two differences, because I did want to look very closely and spot any differences that I could. And you'll notice between the J2M3, the cannons are slightly different from the J2M4. What you'll want to pay attention to is these two cannons here, just like these ones over here. On here, you get one on each side that sticks out a little bit further, offering better accuracy, supposedly. Anyway, these are supposed to be a little bit more accurate, but they're not there in the other one, the J2M4. Also, I noticed the engine, this whole section of the engine looks slightly different in the J2M4. Supposedly they did use a different engine, but as far as the stat card concerns, there's no difference. I'll show you here I'll bring this one into the hangar. See, just a slight difference here. All these are same length. This one, actually, the inside one extends just maybe an inch outside the wing, rather than the other ones which they went out like out to here. How much of a difference there will be between this and the J2M3 is, frankly, I'm not really sure. Judging by what I've seen so far, there won't be much of a difference. There's a difference in battle rating, 5.0 with the J2M3 versus 5.3. So conceivably, there might be some differences with this plane and the J2M3 that we just don't see. The stat card just doesn't seem to represent it. And that's typical of the dev server. Things will change eventually, I'm sure. There's only a little bit of ammo, or armor, excuse me. I'm talking a little bit longer than I normally do for a video, so I'm a little dry. Fuel tanks, got a couple of fuel tanks. Nothing too serious. Oh, this one is a little disconcerting because it's right there in front of the pilot. I suppose you're not really going to find a good spot to hide that thing. There's not much armor to protect it. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I hope this answered some of your questions as to what's involved in the 1.47 dev server. I would imagine the 1.47 will go live probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Gaijin is always very tight-lipped about when the patch will come out, but usually it's a couple of weeks after the dev server goes live. I hope this, like I said, I hope this answers some of your questions as to what's included in the patch. If you have any comments or questions, by all means leave them in the comment section below. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. I'll have more videos on the 1.47 patch once it goes live, or if there are any other changes on the dev server. Take care, guys.